Hey everybody, it's me Tim, and in this video I wanted to go over Cleanspark and their earnings coming up. It is going to be just in a couple days here. Now I want to go over where their revenue is going to be at. First off, I'll tell you right now, I do think we're going to see a year-over-year decline, and I do think we'll potentially have a buying opportunity because of that. Now it's obviously going to depend on how the market reacts to earnings, how the market kind of takes the news that comes out. But we're going to go over where their revenue is going to be at. We do have their mining updates. Their October, November, December, which kind of gives us a glimpse into what their earnings is going to look like. We're also going to go over their next earnings, and I think that's when things really turn around. Although they could turn around this earnings just because we will likely see a quarter-over-quarter increase on revenue, and that may be the signal that things are on the turnaround and Wall Street might notice that. Now, of course, there are some other things to factor in. You know, during October, November, December, Bitcoin was right around a $17,000 to a $19,000 price, and at least that's where they sold it at. We're also going to go over their next earnings and, you know, where Bitcoin's been at, their last mining update. But if you want a deep, detailed update on their last mining update, I'll leave you guys a link below to the last video I did going into their last mining update, their January update, which did come out pretty good. But let's get into this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you get something useful out of this. And let's check out Cleanspark. Now, first off, I'll tell you right off the bat, we should be seeing somewhere around a $34 million quarter here that they're going to report for revenue. And I simply just added their sales of Bitcoin from each mining update. Here's their December update. Definitely not a good one. You know, in this month of December, we did see that their mining rigs were down for almost 5 days. That definitely affected these numbers here. But they pulled in 8.7 million. They did sell more Bitcoin than they mined, so keep that in mind. I'll provide you some context with that in a second. And remember, they sold their Bitcoin here in December at an average of $17,000 per Bitcoin. Remember, right now Bitcoin's around 23,000. Keep that in mind as well. And then we're going back a month. That was December. Here's November, a $9.4 million in revenue for their Bitcoin. Same thing, similar, $17,000 per Bitcoin where it was sold. One thing you'll see for November is they sold slightly more Bitcoin than they mined. Keep that in mind. And then here's October. For this quarter that they're about to report, this was one of the best months for mining Bitcoin, but this is all due to the fact that they sold a very large amount of their Bitcoin. They sold 836 Bitcoin, whereas in October they only mined 532. They sold this Bitcoin at a better price than the other months. They sold this at a $19,000 per Bitcoin, and they pulled in about 16 million. That's definitely nice, but it's mainly due to the fact that they sold so much of their Bitcoin compared to what they mined. They took a lot out of their reserves by doing so. Now going back to this, just so you guys see the context, that's their 3 months, $34 million likely in revenue, which compared to estimates would be a beat, okay? And when we're looking at their quarter-over-quarter revenue, which is one thing they're going to mention, we're going to see an increase likely. They're expected, I believe, for a $27 million quarter. They're likely to get that 34. So we will have an increase quarter over quarter. However, we won't see an increase year over year. Their year over year numbers, they had 41 million in their last quarter reported in February, and we're very unlikely to get that. I mean, you just saw the 3 months that are in that quarter. We're more likely to get in between. So they will see a year over year decline. Wall Street might be worried about that. Wall Street might be keen to what's going on and see that Bitcoin has been going up dramatically since then. And I want to go over some numbers moving forwards. So I'm telling you right now that this next earnings coming out, there will be some positives because we will see a quarter over quarter increase in revenue. And this is likely the kind of start of where things turned around. Same with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin even just continues where it's at, Bitcoin doesn't even have to move much. If Bitcoin even goes back down to 19,000, they're going to see better quarters month over month moving forwards. However, we're likely not going to see that, you know, 40 something million, almost 50 million in revenue yet. But that keep in mind, I'm going with the $19,000 Bitcoin scenario right now. Bitcoin's at 23,000. Sorry if I'm a little jumbled up here, but I want to show you their last update, okay? So this is an update that's not going to be in their earnings. This is going to be the next earnings. But first off, we're already up to a good start. We already have $12 million for that month. And this is at a $19,000 Bitcoin. Now, they did mine 697 Bitcoin, and they actually sold less Bitcoin. So we finally have something great to see. They're actually starting to hold some Bitcoin compared to the October, November, December, where they were actually selling more than they mined. We're seeing a turnaround there. Maybe Wall Street will notice this. But one thing you have to think about moving forwards is, you know, let's say their mining is flat. They just continue to mine right around 700 Bitcoin a month. Well, with Bitcoin where it's at 23, they're going to be pulling in much more than 11.9 million. And I do think even with Bitcoin hovering right around 19, 20, 21 throughout the next 2 months here, February, March, they will be having quarter over quarter increases in revenue. Although we might not see record breaking revenue, I do think if we hover around 23,000 Bitcoin, 24,000, maybe Bitcoin actually starts pushing higher, they will easily see record breaking revenue. But right now they're already at 12 million. Say their next month comes out at 12, 13 million, which I could expect. Their next one comes out at, say, 12, 13 million. Well, that puts you at close to 40 million in revenue. You're starting to see the increase in revenue quarter over quarter again, instead of the decreasing that we've been seeing. Remember, all due to Bitcoin's price dropping. Now that Bitcoin people are speculating that it's in recovery mode, if Bitcoin does push its way to 24, 25,000, their next earnings is going to be a record-breaking quarter. Now, I did want to pull up Cleanspark on the chart. We've got some things going on here, and then we're going to look at Bitcoin, and I'm just going to give you my thoughts there as well. So for this earnings, they're about to report on the 9th, just coming out in a couple of days here. They are expecting a $29 million in revenue, and just based on adding those months up in their Bitcoin sold, we should see more than that. We should see a nice increase in revenue, which is of course a positive. However, like I said, we will very likely see a decrease year over year in revenue. And one thing that's going to be important to listen to is, what's dilution looking like? They did announce in the last earnings call that they have a 3-year plan. And just like their previous three-year plan that they're simply just extending, I don't think they're going to utilize all those shares to sell into the public. But it's going to be important in the earnings call to see kind of where their heads are at with that. Where are they at? Are they talking about just utilizing their Bitcoin to provide value to shareholders? Are they going to dilute a little bit? Are they going to pull out debt at a high interest rate? Those three things are going to be interesting to listen to. As we know, Cleanspark isn't profitable right now. So I'm hoping that they're going to just be able to continue mining their Bitcoin and selling their Bitcoin to provide the company more capital and not have to dilute, especially at these prices. Now, one thing you can see here on the chart is we are approaching kind of a wedge. And like I expected, we are finding resistance here right around 385. This was our previous resistance here, and we literally just hit it. So you're going to want to watch out for 385. If we break out of that, we are likely to push higher, and keep an eye on this uptrend. We are still continuing in it despite having a bit of a red day. Just watch how Bitcoin continues to perform. It's going to really, I think personally that their earnings is going to dictate which direction this goes. Do we get a very good surprise and really good, outlook, really good forward guidance, things of that nature, and continue upwards? Or, do they announce some dilution? Do they announce, some negatives here and see a drop? So I think this pattern is going to be important to watch. So you're going to want to look at a break in either direction. It could be likely where we continue going. Now, as for Bitcoin, despite kind of pulling back a little bit, it's still looking very good. We are still following in this kind of broadening pattern. We've been continuing to create new highs. We were due to pull back a little bit. We'll see if it bounces off the 200 MA and continues going. But if we do break it, if we do start pulling back, just keep an eye on this 22,300. This is going to be an important level to watch. If we break it, we'll likely fall further. But I do suspect it'll hold it and maintain. And just looking at altcoins today, altcoins have been going up, at least as of this upload. I personally think if people were very, very scared of Bitcoin dropping a lot, altcoins would be already dropping now. But it is very nice to see that Bitcoin's continuing to create new highs and it's maintaining its low. And I still personally think Bitcoin is great for a DCA right here. But let me know how you guys are feeling about Cleanspark's next earnings coming up. I do think we have the potential for one last great buying opportunity for Cleanspark before we get into this definitive bull cycle. I think personally time's ticking, and we'll see in time if I turn out to be right. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, consider hitting the like. If you're new here, subscribe for more. Consider checking out the links down below. And like I said, I'll leave my last mining update down below for you as well. Thanks as always, guys, and have a good one.